Guten Morgen. Hello, everybody. How you all doing? I know like 6 German words. I don't even know good evening. I know good morning is Guten Morgen or something like that, and then there's Guten Tag, which is just like good day, right? Or something like that. So I'm guessing Guten means morning, right? No, probably means good. That makes more sense. Abend? Guten Abend? Bom dia? Is that how it's pronounced? No, you're good, Devin. You just started. How y'all doing? Hope everybody's having a wonderful day so far. Right before the weekend? Unfortunately, this is not going to be a full-length stream. Normally, my Fridays are very light, which is one of the reasons I like streaming on Fridays. Today, not so much. There's a few things I have to get done before the end of the day. And by the end of the day, I mean 5. That's when everything closes. So we're probably going about 3-ish hours today, maybe a little longer. So let's jump right into it. Is that wie geht's du? Wie geht's du? Ich bin ein Berliner. Berlin. Let me just stop right now. I really like German. I wish I could speak more German. It's so like...
The grand end of the century great exhibition of London. Surely there is not a soul who has failed to hear of it. Wondrous new works of culture and industry from every corner of the globe had converged on Hyde Park, welcoming over 50 million visitors. The last great hurrah of this century. Astonished and delighted people of all nations, and ended on a note of resounding success.
I mean, because the end of their last century was kind of shit, am I right?
As regards to the terrible
USA.
catastrophe that occurred during the festivities, very few are aware my friend Mr. Herlock Sholmes had a hand in unraveling the matter. For from the shadows, it was he who earnestly unearthed the facts of the case. And like the centerpiece of the great exhibition, which rose high into the skies of Hyde Park, Sholmes's brilliant deductions, as clear and lofty as the Crystal Tower itself, brought the truth to light.
No mention of us.
We're here at the showground of the Great Exhibition, which is absolutely packed with people. The weather is unusually fine, and we're about to witness a most extraordinary scientific experiment.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 20th century will see steam engines and electrical power dominate the world.
You know, there's people in the crowd like, it's a fad.
Horse-drawn carts will give way to the motor car. Ships will sprout wings and take to the skies.
Cuckoo.
And today, we showcase even more advanced technology. A glimpse into the future. A world first. A demonstration of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine. disassembled by a pulse of high voltage electricity and beamed to another location. Whereupon his body will be reassembled by a series of complex calculations exactly as it was before. In but a few moments from now, this gentleman will, in the blink of an eye, complete an incredible journey through the air. To arrive an instant later on the Crystal Tower behind you! This one, yes, yes, yes! Woo!
This isn't promising.
Yes, 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 yes! Please, that's not what I wanted!
Can't let the man enjoy his work when he's killing somebody. I think you're right, Lynn, in general. However, I would say I'm more towards the opposite. I feel like nobody outside the US gives a fuck about us at all, and that people who think they do are way too full of themselves or their country or whatever, which that's probably not entirely true either. What time is it over there, CJ? Also, hello. Like, I think they might care about our popular culture because our, like, you know, quite frankly, the numbers back up that, like, Hollywood and stuff is international, right? People all over the place watch movies, but that doesn't mean they care about what's going on in the US. That's something different. Well, that's the thing, but they are US. They are. It's stuff from the United States. Stuff in the US isn't produced for the purposes of only being, like, seen everywhere else except the US. But, again, like I said, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with day-to-day US stuff. You are watching a United States product, but that doesn't mean it has anything to do with what I'm doing today, you know? Your average US citizen. Nobody gives a fuck. It's been in the 90s Fahrenheit. 90, mid-90s Fahrenheit here, which is gross because of the humidity. Oof. Umbra knows. Umbra's been around for a while. I guess Dog just wanted to flop his giant massive dick onto the table real quick, just to remind everybody. You got singled out, unfortunately, for that. But, you know, mods gotta sling it sometimes. Probably, Devin. Probably. No, actually, dog is probably the closest to me. And yes, I do like playing up the silly US stereotype to my international viewers. It is fun. Hope you can't laugh at yourself, right? Which is interesting because most of us do not believe, most of us are not those people. That's a small percentage of our nation. It's definitely a minority, a smaller percentage. But vocal minorities are a hell of a phenomenon, huh? I totally understand why that's the association. I skip my haircut till next week, so I'm like, I do not want to go outside unless I have to. That's funny. So you're not like, oh, that's another American. See, America, I don't actually think Americans are like that. Americans are more like, oh my God, they speak English too. If you're in a non-English speaking place, it doesn't matter where you're from. If you speak English, oh my God. 25%. But at the same time, like 25%, hell, you could have fucking fooled me over the past 2 years. You'd think it'd be like 75%. Just that most of us are aware that if what's the phrase? Rather, what is it? Something about a fool and being silent rather than speak it and remove all doubt or something like that. Like, we just don't need to talk about or even engage in that sort of shit. Whereas they could talk as much as they want and make themselves look like idiots. Well, what are you gonna do? Arrest the bees? Well, when you speak, I would say most of you actually speak better or type better English than most of my US-born viewers. And that's partly because we're a little lazier with our speech, because we're more comfortable with it. Whereas a lot of international people are more conscious of how they're using the English language because it's not their native language, which makes sense. But it also creates this interesting thing where people read it and they're like, "Oh man, what a proper American person." And it's like, no, they're more likely international, and they just speak the English better than they speak our English better than we do. Well, you gotta kill it now, obviously. Oh yeah, Lugia's close to me too. I think Lugia and Dog are both Illinoisans, actually. It's more of that, like, people take for granted their own language. and so they don't necessarily put a ton of effort into it because it's almost like this should feel natural, as opposed to an inherent weakness in English. Whereas if you know you're going out of your way to learn something new you're not super comfortable with, just even the idea of, you're more likely to give it more care and attention and thus become better at it. Or more proficient, I should say. If you actually do that. I'm not comfortable with math, and I didn't give it any care and proficient. Or any care and dedication or focus, so I'm not proficient at it. Because it's not like the rest of the world's smarter at English than the people that speak English. They just look at it differently. Because it's not their native language. It's like, if I speak... If let's say, take CJ. This is just based on my theory, obviously. I don't have any hard proof about this. But I would bet that CJ or CarmelloVision, even, for example, speak generally better Japanese than the average Japanese person in terms of, like, they're probably not very lazy because they're more careful with their Japanese speaking than they are with speaking English. No, maybe I'm wrong about CJ. I know Carmello is his Japanese is very good. No, not English. You're awful at English. Another part of my point, though. Man, CJ was waiting for that. All right, let's get it. Bruno, are you listening? That's generally not the first voice I want to do. Oh, sorry. What was that, Iris? What's the matter with you? You've been miles away all morning. Didn't you like what I cooked for breakfast? God damn it, Runo! Stop making Iris feel unappreciated. No, that's not it at all. What were we talking about again? Today's paper! It's full of news about the Great Exhibition again! Ah, yes, the Great Exhibition. I'd like to go sometime, I suppose. You're really not your usual self today. You seem very down. Don't you agree, Hurley? Ah! Did you say something? Nurse? Oh gosh, you're even more down! Ah! The fuck? See, that's becoming more of a thing in the United States, thank God. But when, like, I was really young, that wasn't as popular. I didn't get a chance to learn another language until middle school. Way more kids now have a chance to learn another language a lot earlier in their lives, and it's great. When I have kids, I'm gonna try to help them. I'll learn languages with them. They'll be better at it than I am, because the earlier you start, the better at it you're gonna be. But hell yeah, I'm definitely gonna encourage that. This is Naruto. When did you get here? I've been here for about a half an hour already. We had breakfast together. I just think being into language in general is very beneficial to a person's ability to... How do I want to put this? I don't want to over-exaggerate what I'm saying. And then make it seem like people that don't know multiple languages can't do this. I just feel like the more languages you know, the better at communicating you'll be in general with other people. And that might sound really obvious, but I don't mean just like the more people you'll be able to talk to. I mean, the more that you understand about how communication works, the better you're gonna be at doing it with anybody. Hey, we all gotta start somewhere. It is really satisfying to get better at a language too. Kind of like learning an instrument. Or what I'd imagine learning an instrument's like. I wouldn't know because I can't play anything. But in terms of like, you get to a certain point, you're like, it sounds better! My dad took Latin in college. He encouraged me to take it too. The problem is that he kept saying, like, I'd be like, well, why? He didn't have a really good answer as to why. Obviously, Latin's really good to know as like a root language for all these other branch languages. But he could never really articulate why it would have been a good idea, so I just never did it. And my mom, of course, is like, it's worthless. And I'm like, that's not true. My mom is not very... She's more of the scientician of the family, so not so much good with words. Hey, that's still cool, though, that you were able to learn something from a video game. That's not really the intended purpose, right? So if you're able to get something from it that's, like, useful, that's awesome. Then go from there, you know? Well, all I know is that Finnish people have awesome English accents when they have awesome accents when they speak English. It's so, I just feel like it's so different from all the other accents I've ever heard before. Like, I cannot replicate it at all. I can't even begin to try to replicate it. Oh, that's interesting. I've not heard a Finnish person speak Japanese, but that's interesting. Well, that's not entirely true, right? Not everything in katakana is English. Isn't it just not Japanese? It just so happens that most of the words are English? Like, words that you would generally hear in katakana. Because it can be from some other language, too, that there's no Japanese equivalent for. So you just spell it out in katakana. I don't know why I pronounce it that way. It's katakana. For whatever reason, ever since my first day of Japanese class, I have not been able to shake that weird pronunciation, for that word specifically. I have not been able to shake that weird pronunciation. Ramen. Ramen. That makes sense, yeah. He is upset. Or just excited. Yeah, I've been here for about a half an hour already. We had breakfast together. What? Why didn't you mention it before? I, thought you might have known I was here, you know, because... Breakfast? Iris is quite right. You're clearly lacking in vim. I don't know what that word is. So much so that I didn't notice your presence. This, game has taught me some stuff about English that I did not know. Some words, at least. Thanks! Of course, I can deduce the reason perfectly well, with some simple observations. What? Let's see. Yes, for example, your tousled hair this morning, with all its unruly spikes. Clearly it can be deduced, therefore, that. Let me stop you right there, Mr. Sholmes, because I think I can see where this is going. My hair always looks like this. It always has. Ever since we first met, in fact. Oh, really? How interesting. Just doesn't look like a haircut as such, I suppose. I love doing that laugh, but it always, like, makes me want to cough. Thanks again. It crossed my mind recently that it's been 6 months now. 6 months? Since I was forbidden from working in court. So I've been wondering how much longer I'm going to be banned. Oh, well, that would explain why you seem rather glum. Letting your best friend's not here, I suppose that would cause a problem too. Don't you agree, Hurley? Did you say something, Iris? Back to moping. Enthusiasm or energy? Vim and vigor. Gotcha. Makes sense from the context. I do not remember that in Kingdom Hearts. One of the mainline titles? It's a text editor. What's the matter with Mr. Schultz today? He seems even more down in the dumps than me. I know! And it's the Great Exhibition, and the Great Exhibition is open. You'd think he'd be excited. Why? That doesn't seem like something he'd give a shit about. Oh, why don't we all go see it together? I want to, of course I do, but I can't. Not for the time being. Why not? Why not? Why not? Because I'm a great detective after all. So you're embroiled in some tricky case that you can't be distracted from? Is that it? I don't remember hearing that you're working on a case, Hurley. I suppose I should try to find out what's going on. So, actually, no, I won't mention that yet. Half a year ago now, I took on the defense of a young girl in a trial heard at the Old Bailey. What at first seemed like a simple case of murder that took place at a London pawnbrokery turned out to be one part of a much more far-reaching plot that involved the British government. During the course of the trial, it was found that I made an unavoidable, yet at the same time, unforgivable mistake. No, that's not what he wore! That's not what he wore! The continuity! It's screwed up! You guys just wanted to rustle my jimmies with all this change the outfit! Knowing we were gonna go to some fucking flashback where he had something else completely different on. God fucking damn it! Never mind. I have it all worked out in my head. Because while I can probably remember like 95% of what's happened in any trial I've been in, mostly because it's not like, we're not talking about like 90 trials here, right? It's not a, they're rare, so it's a small amount. But like Ryu here, I don't necessarily remember what I was wearing. I just think, well, I was wearing a suit, so I could have been wearing something else. Although with him it's a little different because he was only wearing his school uniform up until that point. I was wearing unmatching socks. No, that is never me. I know I've not done that once in my life. And I know I'll never do it, especially now because my wife only ever wears unmatching socks and it breaks me mentally every time. Every time I walk in the living room and she's got like her feet up on the ottoman with her socks on, I fall to my knees and cry out, "Why have the gods forsaken me? Why?" But are they all the same length? Because if they're not the same length, then they don't match. She wears paws. See, same color, different type. Those aren't matching to me. Some people, you could argue that they're matching because it's like if I have jeans, for example, the length is not going to matter. All you're going to see is white and white, unless it's like got different shit on it, like Hanes versus Starter or something like that. But if they're very super basic, black, white, whatever, you don't see like the length, then in theory they match. Hey, do you want to show them proof of matching paws? Matching paws? You want to see proof of matching paws? Okay. Your suggestion made her want to vomit. I don't know why you do that. You get like a hairball or something? I'll wait till she gets riled. I don't want to prematurely rile her up. Ah, see? They have to have the same gray. Even if they're like different brands, they have to have it on the same like point. So for me, like, I do my laundry, I put my, I bring it upstairs, I fold my clothes, and put them where they're supposed to be. And when it comes to the socks, I match them up, and then I fold them in on each other. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, there's the pair. I suppose if you're like my wife and you just throw socks everywhere, then yeah, it's probably going to happen. It does. It really does. You see, my good man. In the end, I had my right to represent people in court revoked. I was told I had to spend my time in research and study, so that's what I've been doing. Yeah, haven't you, Bruno? Maybe they're rethinking that whole they can become a lawyer in 40 days or whatever thing. If one sock breaks, do I throw both away like a sock waster? No, because I never get, unless it's a dress sock, but I have yet to have a dress sock break, because I take care of my socks. But let's say it's a normal sock that I would wear. I normally get them in a package, so there's more pairs within that package. So, inevitably, one of the other ones is going to break, right? And then I can put the two working pairs together. Otherwise, I've wasted out on an extra pair that I needed to. That's true. His particular reasoning behind it was like, you know, I mean, he's right. Well, I hate when people say unavoidable. It's avoidable in that you could have lost your case. You could have chose to lose your case if you wanted to, but if he wanted to find his client innocent, it was unavoidable. I have no context as to what a 49 is where you are versus what that is here. Also, your socks should not break after 2 days of use. I understand that your feet are large, but that's partially sock quality too. Are socks in Finland just like the most brittle things? Well, you would think it'd be Strongheart, but the judge was the one specifically who said he would decide his fate after the case. Maybe they work in conjunction? "30 centimeters. Like I fucking know. So you wear about a 12 in a US shoe. Lynn says 30 centimeters like my dumbass American mind's gonna be able to convert that. Oh, that's a 16? Well, fuck, I don't even know US sizes, so. Yeah, 16's large. God damn, Lynn, how tall are you? That's, I think the person with the biggest foot that I know personally is like a 15. Oh my god. Somebody recalculate for me, do the math. I see 190 cm and I'm like, well, it seems like a lot of cm. Oh, you're shorter than I am! But you wear like 3 sizes larger than I do in feet. Huh. I bet you can palm a basketball like it's fucking nothing too. I don't love it. That's just the way my mind is fucking programmed, but I hate it. I hate using the word feet. I hate thinking about feet. It's just, ugh. You can throw them really well. Probably throw them better than I can. Oh, well, yeah, that would burn socks daily. Then you'd need, like, special socks. One of my issues is that I'm tall, but like my hands aren't over like a lot of NBA players, their hands are bigger than what their height would suggest that they should be in terms of size, and that allows them to palm a basketball and handle it really easily, whereas I can kind of do it but not really all that great, which was a problem when I would try to dunk, because I just lose it. going up. But my wingspan is overly large, like an NBA players would be. I think my wingspan is like 6'7", 6'8". I'm 6'4". You always want your wingspan to be larger than your height as a professional sports player of the three big American sports, at least. I don't know about if that would be a problem elsewhere. I did not know that is what you're supposed to do. My feet generally do not smell because I take care so that does not happen. So my socks generally don't have that issue, but I mean, if there's a way to help it even more. Didn't say 6'9". Fail. Yes, I think that's the main thing. More so than the sock thing, just make sure you wash yourself. That'll help a little bit on everything. All your clothes. No. No. No, I don't. And I don't have sweaty feet. It's like they're afraid of the repercussions. I will cut them off if they force me to. Nothing would give me greater pleasure than ridding my body of feet. Problem is, I'd really like to wait until I can replace them with like some sort of robotic substitute that don't look like feet, or at least are dressed up differently. No. She actually likes my feet a little too much. She will keep licking and licking and licking, which, as you'll remember, I'm allergic to dogs, so when she licks my bare skin, it tends to get irritated. They are the worst part of the human body. I agree with that. Usually I wear something. Last few days, though, I haven't, though, just because the heat's been gross. And we have a really old AC, so it just does not get down to the point we, like, want it to. So, bad to bite the bullet.
You have, haven't you, Runo? Reading all those big, fat tomes about British law up in your room. And the notes about Sholmes' old cases.
Brewing Iris's special blended tea, fetching my daily bread for me. You've become something of a manservant around here. Start on the silverware next, Master Naruto. Well, I'm thinking of going to ask the powers that be to reconsider, specifically Lord Strongheart, the British Supreme Court on Whitehall.
Lord Strongheart!
Yeah, we know who he is. You don't have to tell us where he lives, or where he works. Ah, the delightful Lord Chief Justice. Not my favorite fellow. Not mine either, but he's the man I have to talk to. He's the only one who can grant permission for me to start working in the courts again. I came to Britain to become the best lawyer I could. I can't do that just sitting around here. Sometimes I'll wear socks, but other times I'll wear these. Slippers, or like, I mean, these are like shoe slippers. But that's the extent that I go. It might not be that biggest. I mean, objectively, yes, it is a big step, but remember, he also has a relationship with him too, so that's not really unbelievable. Oh yeah, you live in Maine. I keep thinking you live in Illinois, and you've said multiple times you live in Maine. What, these beige suede slippers? I'm not even sure if that's why I think Illinois. Maybe. Maybe it's because we've talked about something Illinois related before. I did because you brought it up. So there's two specifically. Robitussin, which is this red shit that tastes awful. I can't even describe the taste. It's like the generic, like, that tasted like medicine. When we say that, I feel like we're talking about Robitussin. And then there's Dimetapp, which tasted like really bad grape juice. Really bad grape juice. But now I have pills, so it's just a matter of how bitter is the pill. No, it tastes worse than alcohol, if you can believe that. Oh, that sucks. That's why it's kind of dangerous to, like, have medicine like that, right? Because you could ruin a flavor for yourself. Most recent liquid medicine I've had was a honey flavored one. And it didn't taste particularly great, but it did work. It was very effective, so I still have, like, a good impression of it. All of London has been swept up in this great exhibition, hasn't it? The most advanced science, the most modern technology, the finest works of art, and feats of engineering. For the next 6 months, our capital will be showcasing these things, and the world will be watching.
Oh, do you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to look down on look down. Oh, I could not. I'd like to look down on London from one of those lovely balloons.
Look down on? Do you mean those things fly?
Yes, of course. You dumb shit. They fly high in the sky and don't even need wings to do it. All you need is hot air.
But how? How does hot air have anything to do with flying? It makes no sense! I can't understand it at all.
That's true of a lot of new scientific discoveries. Most people can't understand them at first. But in 100 years' time, all these things will just be common knowledge.
I suppose they might be.
Mind you, some of the science being demonstrated seems very questionable. Something went wrong on the open experimentation stage yesterday, apparently. There was a huge explosion. Still, I wish I'd seen it, though. I'd love to see how bad some of these scam experiments really are.
Get out. Get out of my chat. I can't believe I read those words. There was a medication that had an orange taste that tasted good. Thank you, Zelda. That was laughable. Also, Diamond, thank you for the sub. Local wizard forgot to renew his license. No. Comparatively speaking, relatively speaking, that doesn't exist when we're talking about orange. No. No. There's only objectively terrible flavor. Well, what about what you compare to? No. No. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Objectively terrible. The pill had pulp in it. Oh. Oh. Yeah, CJ, I didn't think you'd be here today, so I didn't have the orange. I'll have it by Monday, though. Says the innocent 10-year-old girl. See here. See here. Every page of this paper carries some article or other about the Great Exhibition. But the brighter things shine, the darker the shadows that are cast behind them. Personally, I find myself drawn to the darkness, to the impenetrable. That is my proper atmosphere. Shadows cast behind? Is that a metaphorical way of describing or referring to the back page of the paper? Are you investigating a particularly tricky case at the moment, Mr. Sholmes? You could say that, I suppose. Nothing more to add? That's not like you. What sort of case is it? Shh! Quiet, Mr. Naruto. You must not discuss it here. You never know who might be listening.
You're acting very strangely, Hurley.
What do you mean, Iris?
Usually. The more mysterious and complicated a case is, the better Hurley's mood.
Ah.
Is it really a case that's bothering you?
Iris, please. You mustn't exercise your astute powers of observation and deductions on me without invitation. Remember what I always say. Put yourself in the shoes of the individual about whom you're making deductions. Do you? You say that, do you? You, Mr. Sholmes. Never mind. Once I've had a cup of tea, I must make my way at once to the crime scene. That was a deep sigh. Actually, so I've been thinking about something. I'll bring this up because we kind of had an example of this today. I want you guys' input on it. I've been thinking about starting streams. Like starting streams off like this. We talk. Because generally we have our like most random conversations at the beginning. We're all talking about how have you been, you know, etc. And then once that happens, once we're kind of cooled off, then we go to the gameplay and kind of focus more in on gameplay. There's a couple problems with that though. The biggest one being that some people that would still talk about other stuff anyways might decide, I'm just gonna wait 20 minutes or so to come in and stream, because I know they're always gonna start stream off like that. So then they come in when we start the gameplay, but then we still end up having those conversations anyway because they came later. They still want to talk. They just also want the gameplay to be happening. I imprisoned myself. Like, you see why that, like, how that could be an issue? I just don't know how prevalent that would actually be. Well, this guy, I have no opinion. Well, but would you set your alarm later if you knew not only that I might be like 5 to 10 minutes late, but also that the first 20 minutes of it would be spent getting, I don't want to say getting the conversation out of the way, because that makes it seem like I don't enjoy the conversation, which isn't true. But like, we have a lot of the conversation focus on the conversation, and then when it comes to the gameplay, focus more on gameplay. You think starting with the gameplay is better? That is another problem, is that we do have conversation that's simply sprung through gameplay. But I feel like a lot of that, I will say, I think a lot of that conversation tends to be less random than the conversations we have on average at the beginning of streams. Because it's usually more related to the game, to some degree. You get what I mean? Not always. Sometimes, obviously, we go way off the rails. So that's absolutely true. I just think it happens less often when we're talking about gameplay, like when that's arising out of the gameplay. Well, yeah, if I want a more productive stream, I just stream to nobody. Or I just record this video and post it for you guys later and talk to no one. That would suck. Yeah, if I just go straight in and through gameplay, that is more tiring. Being able to take breaks to read chat is actually very good for that. So that I'm not just like plowing through. When you're just plowing through gameplay, that's what's going to tire you out the most. It takes CJ many attempts to spell basic English words, yes. All right, let's take a look at that. Oh, wait, what? All right, let's take a look at this. All right, so that guy. Ruffians aim to intimidate a man of justice. They're gonna try to intimidate a fucking vampire? Let me tell. Oh. This is why he's upset. This is why he's upset. His job is to go find a lost cat. That's my guess, at least. And that's boring to him. Because Iris said if you have a great case, he's normally happy. But because he's down, it must be because the case is shite. So many glowing reports about the great exhibition and everything that's going on. Other than this rather gloomy looking one, that is. Wait, what?
What's the matter, Runo?
How the fuck did you get this photo of the ruffians? Did they just pose for you? At the crime scene? The Reaper attacked. That's Lord Van Zeeks. This must be what Mr. Sholmes was talking about. Does he know any more, I wonder? King Charles VII reviews ruling awards prize to Michelle? Okay. Oh, they didn't say anything about the lost cat. Bartholomew's Hospital, Public Health Services, Health Report. I can't read this. Something Birdler? London, Britain, and the Industrial Revolution. Why would that be such a small fucking article? Tower garners worldwide acclaim. I can't read. It's a retrospective, but I can't tell what word that long L word? Whatever that first word is. 1 penny. Every article on the front page is news about the Great Exhibition. Public experiments demonstrate brand new scientific ideas, cultural exhibits from around the globe. also positive and hopeful about the coming century. We must all go see it properly before too long. Yeah, so fucking excited. Whereas we're like, man, are we gonna get to the 22nd century before we all blown to bits or die from a lack of oxygen or burn to a crisp? Industrialization. Gotcha, okay. A woman suing a glass eye seller because she couldn't see out of it? Unless the advertiser implied that it would bring you sight, I can't see how they would be held liable for that. It says in the paper that Lord Van Zeeks was attacked. That's terrible. You know the legend of the Reaper of the Bailey, of course, don't you? Only too well, in fact. Yes, Prosecutor Barrack Van Zeeks. They say that if the Reaper is the prosecutor in a case, there's no salvation for whoever's in the dock, even if the defendant is found not guilty. Once the Reaper has someone in his sights, one way or another, that person's time left on this earth will be short. London's finest rogues always find ways around the law. They'll stop at nothing to secure an acquittal at trial. Falsifying evidence, paying sham witnesses, threatening jurors, bribing judges. But even such devious tactics as these cannot save them from the hand of the Reaper. As you've experienced yourself, haven't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I've seen the Reaper's retribution at work. Many of these criminal rogues are reckless and quite unafraid to die. If a leader among their fraternity is seen to have been taken by the Reaper, retaliation like this does occur. Really, the capital has a never-ending supply of such scoundrels. So, do you mean Lord Van Zeeks has been attacked like this before? This isn't the first time? He's quite an accomplished combatant, you know. He doesn't take these attacks lying down. Although, it seems that his assailants were armed with guns this time. Oh my goodness, is he alright then? Is Lord Van Zeeks hurt? My dear fellow, how on earth would I know? Read the fucking article. They tell you if they have guns. I'm sure they could tell us if he was shot.
Well, in the article here it says, as to what of Lord Van Zeeks and his condition, all will be revealed in tomorrow's morning edition.
That's bullshit. We're talking about the health of a public official here. You can't cliffhang that shit. Clickbait's always existed. It was just called something else before. Man drops contaminants in the Thames. God, drinking water in the Thames. Find out if your drinking water is safe. Next issue. That's probably something you should tell somebody right away, right? Now you gotta wait till the next day to figure out if that water you drank that day was okay or not. Or should you drink the water? You sit there like, well, oh, I haven't gotten the next issue of the paper yet. Is there, nope. Here, I need to see if you have matching paws. Are you wearing matching paws? Hey, matching paws. Okay, matching paws. How do you like your mom? Tiny puppy. Yeah, right. Never thought I'd ever own a dog, let alone a large dog. Ah, I see. Well, we should have to be patient. No, no, no! I can't wait till tomorrow! In that case, you shall have to inquire with someone in the know. But who? Lord Strongheart, the person you were going to go see anyways, perhaps? Yeah, probably. Ah, voila! I am now dressed. Well, I must be leaving now. Yes, understood. See you later, Mr. Sholmes. Ha! You really are a shameless liar sometimes, my dear fellow. What? You seek to put me off my guard and follow me, don't you? Well, you'd be wasting your time. The thought hadn't crossed my mind, but now I'm wondering where you're going. Ah! Well then, see you later indeed. I'm small. What does that make you? Tiny? Slightly smaller? Listen to him. He's still laughing on his way out of the door. That hat is a choice. To be sure.
Alright then, Reno, let's get going.
Oh, Iris, what are you wearing? And why?
I've got change to go to the Great Exhibition. You're going to take me.
What? What? I was just going to go to the Supreme Court.
Oh, well that sounds fun too. You're going to take me there then.
Alright, fine. Just lower that weapon. Take off that silly ass hat, would you?
Of course! And after the Supreme Court, then we'll go to see the Great Exhibition.
Yeah, she is. Alright, I'm gonna take this dog outside real quick. I don't know why you're so excited. That's really funny, CJ. I'm not sure what it says about me that I forgot Garbage Man as a job and just assumed it referred to hero. You know, you guys might think that having birds in the office is like badass and cool, but there is probably bird shit everywhere. It's an offense to garbage. It really is. It's been about 6 months now since I was last here. Some things never change, like the sense of foreboding I always seem to feel in this place. It's probably the gigantic gears indicating time forever moving. Doesn't seem to be bothering Iris at all, though. She's happily reading over there. Oh yeah, she's a kid. Time doesn't really matter as much for her.
Oh, I love this place. I always find so many interesting books here.
Of course, I was forgetting that you've been here before. Time we came here 6 months ago. Susato-san was given the news that she was to return to Japan, forgetting what people were wearing again. Ah, I understand you wish to speak with me. Oh, Lord Strongheart, I trust you've been keeping well? Let's see. Since you arrived and requested an audience, it's been 4 hours, 32 minutes, and... whoops. And... 26 seconds. I've kept you waiting a while. My apologies. Oh no, not at all. I like nothing more than standing around staring into space. Good to know. Good to know that doesn't appear to bother him at all. Hail Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of London. He's the man who allowed me to start practicing as a defense lawyer when I arrived in Britain as a student. I only savor the air for a moment in his grand office to understand his preeminent status. As you will be aware, the Great Exhibition of London is now underway at last. We're extremely busy as a result, policing the grounds, guarding the new technologies, dealing with petty crime. And furthermore, as of next month, we shall open the International Forensic Science Symposium. Just again, as a reminder, first of all, a Chief Justice in this day and age in America doesn't do any of those things. A district attorney doesn't do any of those things. That would all be left up to the police chief. But apparently here, all those roles are rolled into one person, apparently. Also, as Chief Justice, he would still technically be a judge that would preside over cases. Chief Justices preside over cases. They don't suddenly just get an administrative role. Just differences to note between now and then. Even that's even how it was then, because it wasn't even like that then for the US. Like, it never was like that. When it comes to disciplining lawyers and stuff, that's actually the Supreme Court that does that. They work with the bar. At least I think so. That might vary from state to state, actually. Don't quote me on that. I've never been disciplined by the bar or even had a referral, so I'm not... I honestly don't know, now that I think about it. I know that the Supreme Court can get involved, because I've read... there are Supreme Court rules in place for lawyers that if they get broken, then the Supreme Court deals with it. But anyways, the bar is not law enforcement. They're simply a regulatory body. So that wouldn't have any, you know... He'd be well above that. Each state has their own Supreme Court equivalent. Not SCOTUS. No. No, if I get disciplined, it's not going to be in front of the United States Supreme Court. I say there are state Supreme Court equivalents because, like, there's Wisconsin Supreme Court is the highest court in Wisconsin. But in other places like New York, I think is one of the places like this. The Supreme Court is a lower court, and then the highest court is Court of Appeals, which doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. Supreme seems greater than Court of Appeals, considering it's called the Supreme Court. That's why for us, Court of Appeals is the second level. You have your trial court, your Court of Appeals, where the appeals goes to, and if you appeal from the Court of Appeals, then it's the Supreme Court. I never understood that, personally. I hope not. And if it is, I hope they've never seen my stuff. Because, be some... I would move for recusal. Potentially prejudicial, judgments. Oh, I've not heard about that. Investigating authorities from 40 countries around the globe will be taking part, including from your own land. Forensic science is the future! The world must embrace it! As we're the hosting nation, I have much to do, and it is my highest priority. If others must wait for my attention as a result, so be it. Well, it's nice to know where I stand. So, you wish to consult with me? Of course, I can very well imagine what this is about. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting, my lord. Let's be allowed to start working as a defense lawyer again in court. That's what brought me here today, so just say that out loud. But actually, there's something else playing on my mind as it happens.
Bruno, just take a deep breath and come out with it.
What the? Oh, we gotta probably show him the paper. I actually came here today to ask for your permission. Go on. 6 months ago, my right to work in court as a lawyer was revoked, and I was told to spend my time studying. Obviously, I'm very sorry for what happened, but the thing is, that doesn't seem great. It made me understand what it really means to defend someone under the rules of a foreign justice system. And I desperately want to have another go. Please, permit me to enter the courtroom again. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? Here it comes. I'm sure you haven't forgotten your position here, have you? At best, you are a substitute for your compatriot. This was never your intended role. Well, that's true. The Japanese government actually sent my best friend on this study tour, not me. It should have been Kazuma. So determined to bring change to our own justice system at home. That was his calling. That tragic accident hadn't happened. wouldn't be here in this office now. Mr. Asogi was my best friend, you see. That's why I can't leave it unfinished. I have to fulfill his calling for him. His calling, you say? Has it never occurred to you that perhaps you know nothing of his true calling? Yes, actually. Sorry? The mission with which that young law student was charged. What do you suppose it really was? What do you mean? Mission? It's not making any sense. It's actually making perfect sense. Never mind. And I don't like Ryunosuke had an inkling that it was something more. It was talked about in the last game, and now all of a sudden he's like, what are you talking about? I read all the reports you've submitted over the past 6 months. It's clear to me that you regret your actions and have been studiously obeying your revised instructions. Do you mean? As of this moment, I reinstate your license to practice law here in Great Britain. Thank you so much. That's wonderful news, Runo. In fact, I believe I have the perfect case to mark your comeback. A curious affair. You'll consider it, I hope. Of course! Please, tell me more! Before we get to that, though, all sorts of conferences have been taking place around the world to coincide with the Great Exhibition. And next month, the largest and most important of them all will take place at last. Well, I would assume they'd have to have known that Kazuma died, right? The International Forensic Science Symposium. Does seem as though criminal investigation needs to embrace scientific methods, doesn't it? Exactly! Ah! London, the global epicenter of culture, science, and wealth, now has a population exceeding 6 million. Sadly, crime in the capital is growing at a similarly startling rate. So it's imperative that we use the latest scientific methods to investigate and resolve cases as efficiently as possible. Which is what's known as forensic science, isn't it? Exactly! The future of policing! Ah! My ears are burning. Who's talking about forensic science? Regrettably, however, Britain is currently dragging its feet when it comes to the adoption of forensic methods. That's what law always does. Oh dear, that's alarming. Exactly! It's extremely alarming! Ah! If I were Her Majesty's Attorney General, you can be sure the numbers of crimes committed and resolved in London would be very different to the current figures. Wait, so there is an Attorney General? Okay, that's interesting. I'd almost just assumed that they'd lump that role in with him too, but okay, so there is a separate Attorney General entity. That's good to know. Right? Oh, actually, it's like 12, right? But the rest of them are just cardboard cutouts. Right, of London. Whereas the Crown has its own Attorney General for the entirety of its empire. That makes sense. That's interesting, though. Because even though they've said of London several times now, I guess I just kind of thought of him as the Chief Justice of the nation. Because there would still be a Chief Justice of the nation, wouldn't there? It's just like the Supreme Court. Like there's a Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Wisconsin, but then there's also the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. I don't know if it's a real thing in the way that the game presents it at this time, but I just gave you like the equivalent of what you'd be talking about now in the US. So he would be like, in fact, of London? Are we just talking about the city of London or like the entirety of the county? How many counties does London span? Is it just one? This is huge. Because like, there is a a Chief Justice of county courts. And then there is a Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the state. Then there is a Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the nation. So, it sounds like the United States might have more Chief Justices because of the way its government's set up. I mean, their whole thing's state sovereignty, right? So it, like, makes sense that the setup is different. But that's how it is here. Each judicial body has its own Chief Justice. Just the higher you go, the more, you know, higher regard they're held. But they don't necessarily gain power like this. Chief Justice of the United States is, fuck, what's his first name? I used to know this. And by used to know this, I mean like I knew this yesterday. Roberts. Chief Justice, what the fuck's his first name? Anyways, Chief Justice Roberts. He does not have the same power in the United States that Strongheart has, where he's like controlling the police and shit. John. Maybe that's why I forgot it. No offense to all the Johns out there, but like, some of the other Chief Justices have kind of a little more memorable names. Good old Clarence. God. Makes me want to throw my chalice of coffee to a non-existent flame. Yo, what's up, JB? So he is of just the nation. To me, that makes more sense. Or like, yeah, the nation. Not necessarily the entirety of the empire, but the nation of England and Wales. It's like a green-brown. A greener shade of brown, wouldn't you say? I guess it's kind of like a gold, actually. That's a tricky color. I'll give it that. The numbers of crimes committed and resolved in London would be very different to the current figures. and I can cite 12 solid arguments and 223 individual reasons to support my claim. It's like you have a brief written out already. Sorry? By way of apology for keeping you waiting earlier, I shall detail everyone now. In very well-written opinions and briefs, it'll be parceled out that way. You'll have your main arguments, or the topics that you're addressing, and then each bit of reasoning, like, it's because of this, it's because of this, it's because of this, and you tell them numbered. So it's not really all that difficult to imagine that he knows those numbers exactly, to be quite honest. It's a lot, but when we're talking about something so serious, that makes sense. Mustard? Isn't mustard a little lighter? I guess I don't really know. Oh, Van Zeek's. I mean, it's more of like a spicy brown, I guess. Which is, quite frankly, the objectively correct mustard. So, I mean, I'll go with it. I will. We can start that trend. Make mustard brown again. Heathens in their yellow mustard. Olive is actually, okay, no, I guess olive's a little more green, but it is, mustard olive, that sounds pretty good. I wouldn't open it. That shit would expire in my freezer. I'd be like, oh, this might be interesting, and I'd never eat it. Luigi is like, Luigi is from Illinois. He likes yellow mustard. You didn't have to buy. I don't feel bad that I missed out on their mac and cheese. If I miss out on their Grey Poupon mustard, oh well. Darn. All sauce looks disgusting. It's just watery color. It's water with a different color to it. I don't think any particular sauce looks amazing. Actually, that's not true. Some white cream sauces can look really good. Especially when you get the different herbs sprinkled in. Like, ketchup doesn't look appetizing. I'd say it looks like blood, unless you think blood looks appetizing. We just call everything mac and cheese. I don't think anybody refers to it specifically as... Not many people refer to it specifically as Kraft. That would be like the second level of talking about it. We'd say, what are you eating? Mac and cheese. Oh, what kind? Kraft. Nah, see, I think barbecue sauce looks particularly appetizing either. Good as fuck, mind you. Man, apparently we have different colored blood. Because I cut myself right now and it will not be brown. Let me tell you. Oh yeah, I'm getting all the vampires excited. I mean, to me, it doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter if I grew up with the sauce or not. Because it's sauce. Who cares how it looks? What matters is how it tastes, is my point. Yeah, it's the same blood. What? I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can put mustard on. I put it on chicken, like grilled chicken, burgers. I think mustard on burgers is 1,000% better than ketchup. Incorrect, Lynn. Incorrect. That sounds like somebody who's never had good mustard. Not only is mustard better than ketchup in general, but the fact that there are a lot of different flavors of mustard just makes it much more versatile. I guess what I put on grilled chicken isn't mustard, but a mustard sauce. Because you mix mustard with others. You mix Dijon with sour cream and salt, pepper, and I can't remember what else. Hey, Chipotle mayo sounds good too. Then I objectively had chronic lead poisoning. I mean, ketchup is more for children, basically, because it's sugar. Ketchup is sweet. Children are more attracted to sweeter things. As you get older, most people are going to drift from that flavor. Just like soda. Most children will like Pepsi and not Coke. And then as you go down the age line, more people prefer Coke than Pepsi. I don't know why you would need ketchup with pizza. You have the marinara sauce. What the hell would you need additional sauce for? My wife uses ranch, and okay, I get it tastes good, but I don't need it. Okay, but that's fine. What you particularly like or don't like doesn't actually affect the general trend in any way. I'm talking about, larger sample sizes here. It's just a matter of, is it surprising or not? It does make the crust less papery. I mean, mayonnaise is not something you ever actually need. I like it, but if I didn't have it, I don't think my life would be terrible. The paint on the packaging always peels. Why do you have paint on packaging that peels off? We have mustard in bottles and jars. Like, that's impossible. I can't have ketchup by itself either anymore. I used to be able to. I can't anymore, though. If I have ketchup, it has to be with mustard. Otherwise, it's too sweet. Yeah, that's not what our mustard is in. Oh Lord, that sounds awful. Tartar sauce is good too. I'm a fan of tartar sauce. My wife hates fish, but she will eat fish if she can use a shit ton of tartar sauce, especially if it has a bit of dill in it. Then she goes crazy. You like just eat the tartar sauce. I guess it's probably good for her to get those omega 3 fatty acids and protein. The jars? Hold on. Okay. Sorry, I know we're really off topic here, but I need to show Lynch tubes like toothpaste? So, we have a lot of mustard in this house. Okay, so you can find something like, what is this? Something from the fridge? Anyways, this is dill mustard in this jar. This is something you'd actually have to use a knife to, spread it. Then you have littler quart bottles. This is spicy beer mustard. Here the size. And then here's our spicy brown. Like, I guess you could call this a tube, but this is definitely more of a squirt bottle, like you'd see ketchup in. It's size there. Yes, beer. Spicy beer mustard. Americans flavor a lot of things beer flavor. It's actually really good, and I hate beer. Beer can actually be a interesting flavor adder. And it doesn't necessarily taste completely like beer, because otherwise it would taste gross. It just adds a little something to it. Like, we have beer battered brats. They don't taste like beer, but they do make the brats taste better. I can't really explain it. I don't know the science behind it. You also have yellow mustard for some godforsaken reason. Like, maybe something required, maybe some recipe required yellow mustard, I guess. Otherwise, I would never touch it. Yes, bratwurst. Sorry. Bratwurst. We call them brats here. As a heavily German-influenced area of the United States, we simply call them brats. Yeah, we have a lot of preservatives. That shit lasts way too long. Remember, my A's are the weirdest thing about my accent. That generally isn't really much of anything, except for like a few oddities. Right. I'm gonna look at this toothpaste that you're gonna show me, and then we'll get going on the game. Okay. I guess it's not as bad as I thought. But yeah, basically nothing I have in the house other than Neosporin is in a tube like that. Toothpaste, Neosporin, maybe a lotion. I guess shampoo. I don't get why the paint comes off, though. You can get mayo in tubes like that, now that I think about it. I never have, but I've seen it before. Why don't they just make it different then, so that's not an issue? Ugh. By way of apology for keeping you waiting earlier, I shall detail every bit of it for you. What?
Oh, how fascinating!
It all began 15 years ago. I was... And that more or less sums up my feelings on the matter in the simplest of terms, of course. If you're gonna be a lawyer, you can't die there. You gotta learn to get through conversations like that because you will have some. Essentially, to formally establish a forensic investigation division within Scotland Yard, that is my mission. Oh, right, yes, that's wonderful. Exactly! Wonderful is precisely what it will be. Eris isn't paying attention at all. She's got her nose in another book now.
Oh, is it over? Did you learn anything useful?
I actually drifted off for the most part. He's surprisingly ardent about forensic science. Let's ask him about... Well, actually, maybe this has something to do with... You described it as a curious affair? Yes, that's right. I believe it was reported in the press. Are you aware that there was a serious accident at the Great Exhibition yesterday? Oh, no.
Yes, I read about it. A professor from Germany tried to carry out a crazy experiment. Let me see. How is it described? Super high voltage, instantaneous kinesis, I think.
Instantaneous kinesis? As in moving things with the click of the fingers?
That's right. It's just what my herbal blends need, a dash of devil-may-care.
Whatever this serious accident was exactly, it's clearly captured Iris's imagination. It's an unfortunate business. A large explosion engulfed the public experimentation stage and a man lost his life. A certain Mr. Odiasman. 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 Odious man? Odious man. Okay. An investor and a well-known figure in society. A large explosion?
A man died?
Well, you read the fucking paper and didn't read that part? I'm sure they had it in there, actually. They'd be like, did a man die? You'll have to wait until tomorrow's issue. Yeah, it's a pun. It's I'm getting it as odious man, right? And odious is extremely unpleasant. So he's a dick. Was a dick. It would be spelled like this. I think that's correct. That's what makes most sense to me when I was saying it out loud. I was like trying to, like, okay, yeah, I know that word. The man responsible for the experiments was Professor Albert Hairbrain. Okay. Are you fucking kidding me? Odious man, like, okay, that one was kind of, it's subtle. It's subtle. I could see that one working. But dude's last name is just straight up Hairbrain? Are you fucking kidding me? That's a little too... I don't like it when it's so on the nose. I like it when it requires a little bit of thought. Personally. That's my preference. Because never am I going to see the name Albert Hairbrain and take that person seriously. Or give them a stage, unless it's for a comedy act. Sorry, with apologies to all the hairbrains out there. I don't remember my reaction to Dead Man. That's going to be interesting to see later. I was just getting done with the with 3-2. That should be up later today. And I still don't think I know what the pun was supposed to be, if there was a pun for Kane Bullard. Did I read it as Did Man? Or Deed Man? He was detained immediately after the incident and is due to appear in court tomorrow. Oh, so in Japanese it was... I see. That's unfortunate, when some of them just can't translate like that very well. I can get Bullard for bully, but like normally it's not just the last name, it involves the first name too, to some degree. Kane Bully? It doesn't really... But if Kane's original name was supposed to say security in Japanese, then that makes a lot more sense. What, Kane as in the original biblical Kane? That's reaching a little deep, I think. That's not how Citizen Kane is spelled. Citizen Kane is spelled just like how Kane Bullard's name is spelled. Actually had a conversation. My brother-in-law is he's an actor, stage actor, mostly. He's also a huge film buff, as you could well imagine. He's like, yeah, I haven't seen Citizen Kane yet. I'm like, dude, like, you have to watch it just so that if you're ever in one of your friend circles and somebody mentions it, you like know what they're talking about. I'm not saying that movie's gonna blow your mind or anything. Certainly blew my fucking U.S. History professor's mind. That's where we watched the movie initially in high school. God, that scene with that pan through the window, he made us watch like 6 times. The first time this was ever done in film. Yeah, I get it's awesome, but Jesus Christ, 6 times? Well, I understand. The average person, I understand why you've never seen Citizen Kane. But if you're a film buff, just watch it just so that it's locked in here for future conversation. You don't have to think it's any good. You can think it's an overrated piece of shit. Just have the knowledge locked away in here. He was obsessed with that scene. He would just keep like grinning like an idiot back at us. He's a really funny guy. I really enjoyed him, but that was excessive. I think he just really likes it. That's why he adds it to his class. It's like a filler class, which is fine. I actually don't think that's a bad idea with the way U.S. class structure is like, to have a filler class every so often. As long as you're making good pace. Sometimes that shit's needed. He made us watch, I think, the first minute and a half of the scene. Because the scene starts with Kane as a child playing with his sled outside. If I'm remembering correctly, then it pans, the camera pans through the window, which is what he was so like, oh, about, of the window of his house, of the family's house, into the family talking, I think. I think that's how that worked. I think that whole sequence, the pan sequence is only about 15 seconds, but each time it happened, he would then talk about it for another minute and then go back. Like, dude, just let us watch the movie. And apparently, he did the same thing with every single class, because KY had his class at a different point in time than I did, and he said that's exactly what he did with our class. No, it's Orson Welles. Before Hitchcock's time. But I mean, like, Orson Welles is known basically for just that movie, because he became, like, I guess he was a jerk or something, so he didn't really do much else, and he sucked at, like, everything else he did. But, like, that movie changed. It's a huge influence. Kind of like in the way, because I love talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion, and will put it in any conversation that I can. People might not like Neon Genesis Evangelion. You might not like the opening of Neon Genesis Evangelion, but that opening revolutionized anime openings. You only see anime openings the way they are today because of what Evangelion did. Do I still have that? I do. Thank you. Thank you, classroom. Thank you, classroom. Obviously.
Congratulations!
Judgment Night of...
That's not Evangelion. Oh, man. On the charge of murder. What? Murder? If you intend to take on his defense, you should hurry to meet with him at the prison. There's very little time left for you to carry out any kind of investigation. Great exhibition. Scientific experiment gone wrong. And Murder? I feel out of my depth before I've even started. Still.
We should go to...
I didn't feel like rolling the dice. But you got judgment down.
We should go to the prison straight away then, and try to meet with this German professor, don't you think?
Definitely. Did they give him a German accent? I feel like he spoke rather plainly. Oh yes, one more thing about the case. There's a connection with our mutual acquaintance, the Reaper. Oh, with Lord Van Zeeks? How? Oh, that reminds me. Have you seen this? The reports of the overwhelming success of the Great Exhibitions? Of course. No, not that. The story on the back page. What story? Gotta have more cowbell, baby. I hope for yous that are fans of the stream, whenever, if you were to, and you don't know the scene, the Saturday Night Live cowbell scene, that when you see Christopher Walken as the director of that song, that you instead picture Monokuma being the person who's directing the song instead. No, I shall leave your name. You did not misspell a word. Skeleton catches bumbling burglars? How? How? The Reaper attacked! Ah, that. You've enjoyed some victories in court against my #1 prosecutor, have you not?
Poor Mr. Reaper. Poor Mr. Reaper. What happened to him? He wasn't killed, was he?
There's no need for concern. Lord Van Zeeks would not be so easily dispatched, I assure you. Can you tell us what happened? I'd really love to know. Very well. If it interests you, it does. Strangely. Why? I don't think it's strange. I would want to know if something happened to a prosecutor that I know. I'd want to make sure they're okay. I'm not enemies with them. But then again, as most of you know that have watched me for a while, most attorney prosecutors have a Apollo Claver type relationship. They're actually like on friendly terms. As opposed to fucking Van Zeeks here who just hates that you were born in the country that you were born in. Fortunately, Lord Van Zeeks emerged from the attack unscathed. Street ruffians are no match for that man. He's a very capable fighter. But that's incredible. They were armed with guns. Why was he attacked, though? Do we know? It's related to the events that occurred a month ago. A leader of one of the capital's criminal organizations was indicted and prosecuted by Van Zeeks. Holy shit! A case that didn't involve us! But the man was acquitted. I have no doubt large sums of money were involved behind the scenes. Lord Van Zeeks has been on a fucking losing streak. Holy shit. Large sums of money? A deplorable situation. Members of the jury were bribed, it seems. Oh my god. Do we want to take a guess as to which members of the 12 people that aren't cutouts that are on the jury took bribes? Juror number 5. For sure. For sure. Juror number 5. Yeah, the old man couldn't be bribed because he's just like, huh? Huh? You have to speak louder, son. That knife dude was probably bribed. Oh, the coach guildmaster. Yeah, probably. He was the foreman of the first jury, right? Why? Where is the goddamn line? I just want one tissue to come out. Instead, it won't catch on to anything, so there's... There. Jesus Christ. I don't think Queen Bee would be bribed. Quite frankly, she seems to have a lot of integrity and she has a lot of money anyway, so... I don't think the old man would be bribed. I don't think Garradeb would be bribed. He just seems too... I don't know. Straight edge? His wife would get bribed, though, for sure. But she's in jail, so... Oh my, a stereoscope! Yeah, that's true. He was pissed about his employee being a defrauding. Well, it wasn't really defrauding, but making his business look bad. The maid also would not take a bribe. She's too much, I'm a maid and that is my role in society. All I'd like to do is serve my master. I guess it would be, yeah, master of the house. That was a little less. A deplorable situation. Members of the jury were bribed, it seems. However, despite winning his freedom, the man in question met a dramatic end yesterday. But you're not suggesting that was the work of the Reaper, surely? The victim's henchmen certainly seemed to think so. It was a man by the name of Asman, Mr. Odie Asman. Oh. Did you say Asman, the guy you were just talking about a minute ago? That died? In the case? You did say it was related. That's the man who died in the big explosion at the Great Exhibition. I was gonna say exposition. Yes, known publicly as an investor, but in reality the head of a significant criminal organization. Unbelievable. I wonder, could I ask you something, Lord Strongheart? Try me. Why do you use Lord Van Zeeks as a prosecutor? All the criminals manage to get off in court, then meet with mysterious ends outside the courtroom. And fearful of that fate, they seek to strike at Lord Van Zeeks first. I know there's no evidence that he actually is the Reaper in that sense, but still, something's clearly going on here. Unless you can present it with evidence, it's just all unfortunate coincidences. I have Van Zeeks work for the prosecution service for two reasons. One is he's damn good. Firstly, the man is the best prosecutor in the capital, bar none. I almost feel like this is a borderline no maidens moment. I guess it's less no maidens and more that's your best maiden. Oh, sure. I assume that he loses sometimes. But dude's been on a losing streak. Because I don't get the impression that this system is as bad as the Japanese one is in terms of, like, just how stacked things are against a defendant. Especially because they have a jury. Which is almost always beneficial to the defendant. So, like, I would expect him to lose more than, Pain. Even though, you know, nobody looks at Pain and gets, you know, filled with confidence. And secondly, any deaths of criminals that have occurred outside the courtroom following his trials are nothing to do with him. That doesn't make sense. How can you explain the way so many have died, if not by someone's hand? Innocent till proven guilty, Naruhodo. You better show me some fucking evidence before you make a claim like that he's involved somehow. Van Zieks may have earned himself the moniker of the Reaper, but he is no killer. So he will continue to prosecute on behalf of the Crown. Unless he wishes otherwise, of course. I think there are more jurors that would not take the bribe than those who would take the bribe, but I don't think it's most. How many jurors have we seen so far? 14-ish? Something like that? I'd say about 6. I'm pretty confident would take the bribe. So 8 not taking the bribe. That's a good number, mind you. Well, I must be leaving for my next engagement. I'm already 11 hours and 16 minutes late. My colleagues may be starting to fidget. 11 hours late? That's quite something. Dude was supposed to meet them for breakfast, but is going to meet them for supper instead. That meeting had already started when I arrived back here for this engagement with you. So lateness was inevitable. Time stops for no man. I'm sure it stopped for me during those 12 solid arguments and 223 reasons. Well, I mean, I guess when I think of bribe, I think, what is it going to get you? I'm giving you something. I'm not necessarily thinking of money only. So when I think of bribe, I think of, yeah, whatever would get them to, you know, change their mind. Oh yes, where would I find Lord Van Zieks now? I would assume he's at his office. Right, I'll go and ask him about the attack in person. I want to get this straight from the horse's mouth. Away with you now! I'm leaving Professor Harebrain's defense entirely in your hands. Of course, yes, thank you very much, my lord. Away with you! It looks less messy than Harry's. Yeah, Larry and Emma are both related? That forensic science, boy. That was passed down for sure. I would love to have an out-of-court interaction with wow! Okay, but that's also the smallest chessboard I've ever seen. That is not a regulation-sized chessboard. The typewriter lady. Okay, yeah, she probably wouldn't. She seems very by the book, too.
Oh, so this is the legendary Reaper's office.
Yes, it appears so.
It sends chills. It sends a chill down your spine, doesn't it? What an amazingly deathly atmosphere.
Oh, is that? That hooded figure was so still I hadn't noticed her presence. I wonder who it is. What are you doing here? He's as unwelcoming as I thought he'd be. Actually, maybe even more so. Oh, I'm glad to see you're well. I am? So, who's the person over by the wall being punished for something or other? No punishment is taking place here. Oh! That's my apprentice, and he's sitting there of his own free will. Didn't know you had an apprentice. Must be the same person who was pictured in the newspaper. Okay, so it wasn't the... That makes a lot more sense. But still, how did they get that picture? Did they get attacked and like fend them off, and then they're like, cool pose for us, for the paper, to show that you guys got away, and they're like, all right, look the opposite way of me. We can't look the same way. And we also don't look right at the camera. God help you if you look right at that camera. Look over there. Not forward, over there. He's very able in combat, a requisite skill for anyone under my tutelage. Are you referring to the attack on the Reaper that was reported in the papers? The Reaper? Could you really fucking not? That's actually kind of rude to refer to me as the Reaper. When have I ever asked you to call me the Reaper? I'd be interested to know the Reaper's true identity myself. Assuming, that is, such a fabled fiend genuinely inhabits our great courtrooms. Let's see. Oh, this chessboard is not fine. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares. Yeah, that's not enough. The chessboard's too small. Yeah, it's a 6x6 chessboard. Shit ain't fucking... It could be perspective. I just don't think it's a particularly well-crafted perspective. And not to criticize too harshly, I mean, perspective's not an easy thing, to be sure. It's just that it looks like a small-ass chessboard. Yo, what's up, Tom? Builds up arm strength. For that combat that he was talking about, right? It's part of his training. Lord Strongheart said that the assault last night was some sort of revenge attack? True! Carried out by the henchmen of Odie Asmon's criminal organization. The investigation meant their arrests were imminent. Presumably, some hoped to kill me before that happened. Okay? That doesn't actually change anything. You killed the DA, that doesn't mean there isn't somebody behind the DA that'll bring the case immediately right after him anyways. Maybe it worked differently. Yeah, it's like, oh no, Van Zeeks was actually the only person that had any knowledge of it and didn't write anything down. No records of it were held by the police or anything else. And he was the only one that was going to prosecute. And if he's dead, nothing's going to happen. Pray forgive the discourtesy of checkmating your king. My learned Nipponese friend. That could be if they were worried that they were going to die, then yeah, I suppose that makes sense that you would target the Reaper specifically. Could be. It doesn't seem like they are very easily intimidated. I would assume they'd have that reputation. Because Strongheart made it seem like this is not the first time he's been attacked. At least that's the implication I got. I could have read that wrong. The investigation... Odie Yasmin. He's always masqueraded as one of London's most powerful financiers, a global investor. But his enormous wealth came to him by underhand means, via his criminal activities. Well, doesn't that sound like somebody we knew?
Somebody I used to know. Now McGilden is just somebody that I used to know. And he used that money to buy himself a verdict of not guilty when he found himself in court, didn't he? Being prosecuted by you, Mr. Reaper.
But the man got his comeuppance in the end. And you're telling me McGilden couldn't have done that either? That's kind of weird inconsistency.
Hi, we'll beat this. We'll beat the case fair and square.
What? Really? Yesterday, in fact, in extraordinary circumstances, it was a most unusual cause of death. I know about that. It was super high voltage instantaneous kinesis gone wrong. Mr. Asmund died when the demonstration on the public experimentation stage ended in an enormous explosion. Correct. And you think I have some kind of divine ability to cause an accident like that to happen, do you? I mean, I'm flattered, but... Well, no, that does seem a little far-fetched. This man really is the fabled Reaper, then he has to be innocent of this particular death at least.
It's strange how this has worked out, isn't it, Runo? I mean, what with you taking on the professor's defense for the trial tomorrow?
What? You're going to be defending him? Oh, yes, that's right, though I barely know the man's name yet, to be honest. Albert. Albert's hairbrain. Yeah, fucking Strongheart told us that already. Oh, yeah, that's right. We were told his entire name before. I'm just an idiot. Do you know him by any chance? Of course. He's a contemporary of mine. We were at university together. You're...
What?
We are playing Clue, Tom. I'm convinced. I'd understood that Professor Hairbrain was from Germany, though. Hairbrain's from a respectable British family. After graduating from the University of London, he moved to Germany to carry out research, that's all. He's still British then. He's not German. It's just where he did research. So you were students together. I was in the Faculty of Law, of course, and he in science, so our paths rarely crossed. But curiously, we got along, though I've not met him since my university days. I certainly didn't expect our next encounter to take this form. And with you, of all people, representing him. That is hatred. Well done on the character model work here, because I feel like he hates me, the player, for even playing as Ryunosuke at this point. That is... He despises Ryu. Has done, and will continue to bang. Ugh. Only if I make it out of this office alive. Yeah, it looks like he might strangle you right now. It would not surprise me if he grabbed you by the throat. He's actually been charged with murder, it seems. Yeah, no shit, I'm the prosecutor of the case. I'm not even gonna read that, because my line was better. Fucking numbnuts? Obviously. By you? But you made it sound as if you and the professor had been friends. That doesn't mean I can't prosecute his ass. We are friends, it's true. Then why would you do this?
The Reaper is the prosecutor, there's nothing anyone can do to save him. He's doomed. Soren Van Zeek's stinking.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. They probably wouldn't let me prosecute a friend. Not that... I think it depends on how deep the relationship went. If he just knew him, that's one thing. But if he considered them friends, I would think he would not be allowed to prosecute. If I'm his boss, I don't allow him to prosecute. Like, if I'm Strongheart, I'm like, no, dude, you are not prosecuting. You are not going to be the prosecutor for this case. Like, it wouldn't even be an issue because I'd tell him no. Because again, think about small areas. You're bound to just be acquainted with, like, some people that end up committing crimes, right? So, I'm not sure it's explicitly not allowed, but I think everybody could agree that it's not a good idea, and they shouldn't be allowed to. I should look up and see if there's a Supreme Court rule for that. And to me, that just seems like a common sense thing, right? Yeah, he's ticked. He wanted to choke me. Yeah. And I mean, think about that. Like, it just, the context kind of depends. Because if you knew them in the past, a lot of people will appear in front of the same prosecutors and judges several times. So they have a history. But what is that past? That the person's been in court before, like with them. So then the prosecutor gets kind of an opposite bias, which for the state it's fine because in theory that would help the zealous attack in this case, the zealous prosecution of the defendant. But it could also be somebody where you're like, man, I feel so bad for this kid. This kid just seems to get in all the unlucky circumstances. What if you worked for court counsel and you were the prosecution, because that's not actually the word they use, counsel for court counsel, and you were involved in a child in need of protection and services cases where the kid's in foster care, then you end up moving to become a prosecutor and that kid ends up being in a case as a defendant. Is there a conflict there? Because you have this history where you're like, man, it was just inevitable. I feel so bad for this kid. Like, I was a part of that case. I knew how shit their life is. Or was. There's some bias there, right? Does that mean you can't do it? I don't know. Even master disciple though be kind of problematic, wouldn't it? Yeah, exactly. That could happen to me in theory. If I decided I wanted to go be a prosecutor, there could most certainly be a kid in which was my ward at one point in the past. For me, there's no way I could prosecute that kid in an unbiased fashion. I'd feel so bad for them. Because none of those kids that I had were bad kids. They had parents that made mistakes that hurt their lives. But it's probably going to have far-reaching effects. Like, you know what I mean? Later, CJ. I'll probably be done by then, but... Now that's interesting. I'm not sure a judge would be able to do that in our jurisdiction, just because, like, you're gonna rotate to criminal at some point. And if your jurisdiction isn't very large, I mean, I guess it depends on the case, because another judge could just take the case. But the fewer judges you have, I think the more likely it'd be that you might have to take the case. I'm not sure though. That's just speculation on my part. I honestly don't know. Yeah. Well, that's an actual client. It is. It's not the same though, because I never, as a GAL, I never represented the kid. As a GAL, I represented the kid's objective best interests. It is close, and so that does pose a problem. I honestly don't know. I have a gigantic book of GAL stuff, because GALs have their own, you know, whatever. Man, see, God. Dog's talking about that, and like, that's so, I would love to talk about that sort of thing, and learn more about that stuff, but I can't really do it outside of stream. Like, I can't go into a different Discord and talk, because the problem with visual novel franchises, I've learned through Ace Attorney and DoggoMcPawggo, maybe it's not generally, but specifically those two fan bases, they have the issue where they, because of the way the fandom discusses things, a lot of things still like thinking about future or theory crafting or stuff like that, shipping, whatever. It's really hard to talk about stuff like that without playing all of the games. And have the context of everything, because it is likely there are still things that get spoiled just in comments. I mean, like, and people don't necessarily, I don't blame the people. They're probably just trying to have a conversation with other people that are in the comments. They know I haven't played it because they know I'm playing blind, right? Like, I don't. There was something that I don't even remember what it was. I was trying to find something specific, and I think it was like a Reddit thread or something. And initially it was going for what I was looking for, which I'm trying to. I think it had something to do with Francisca, and remember we were talking about like Von Karma's kid, how he had a granddaughter or whatever. And I saw something about there being they were thinking about bringing Von Karma's kid or granddaughter in as a character for Dual Destinies, which, like, okay, that sucks because, one, now I know it's a consideration. I know the character isn't going to be in there, which then tells me that there probably isn't going to be an explanation that I'm looking for in terms of the grandchild question that we're having and, like, his other potential children. Oh, he could have Francisca could have another older brother or sister or something. And then I know that the character's not coming, so, like, that kind of sucks. I'd rather not have known, and then just never have known in general. I've just been ignorant to it the whole time, instead of being like, oh, well, now I know they're not bringing the granddaughter back because it was something that was talked about, apparently, and decided against. So, like, that's the type of information I don't want, even if it's something that's, like, small like that. So I can't look for anything until I finished all the games. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, in that it's a negative spoiler versus a positive spoiler. Like, most people just think of positive spoilers. Oh, we're just saying it's not in it. Well, that's a spoiler too. Right? Alright, later, King. Take it easy. Yeah, a GAL is a Guardian item, real quick, for those that don't know what I'm talking about. I've talked about this in the past, but I don't remember the last time I talked about this. When I was in family and juvenile court, one of the thing that I probably found most rewarding wasn't representing a client, but representing a child's best interest as a guardian ad litem. A guardian ad litem is another attorney that's brought in when a kid's below a certain age that represents the child's best interest. So they don't listen to the child and say, I want to do this, and you go, this is what the child wants, so this is our position. You're actually you're kind of working in a pseudo judge matter. It's not that what you were saying is binding, but the judge themselves are going to weigh what you say very heavily, because you're trying to look at what's objectively the best for the child after investigating everything. We know the county wants one thing. We know that the parents want one thing. But what does the GAL want, who is removed from both the county and the parents? So it's a unique role. And it was very rewarding because I didn't have to listen to either attorney when I made my case. I made my own case based on what my own thoughts were. It was really nice. Yeah, I saw that in an anime. Thank God I had watched it already. But I was looking up this song, and, like, the image was a clear spoiler. I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't look this up until after I was done. Because that's a huge spoiler. So I just don't look up the OSTs until I'm done with everything. Which is why I haven't done a review of any Phoenix Wright OST stuff yet. And I've only gone based off of what I've heard during my playthrough. Yeah, even the names. Fuck. Something. There was. What game did I play recently? Was it a game or a movie? Where, like, the OST name was like, this person died. What? Why would that be the name? Why would you be so blatantly obvious? Again, it was one that I had played already because I already take these steps, so I wasn't, like, it didn't spoil me, but good lord, that's stupid. Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people like posting their fan art, is like OST videos. I feel like you see more fan art on those videos than you do, just anecdotally, of course. You see more fan art on those things than actual, like, official art. Yeah, I can't remember if that was a show or a movie or a game. I think I was so infuriated that my mind blocked it out. Fairy Tail has that problem with their openings, in that their openings start way too early. Not only do they spoil which characters are going to be, like, they'll start playing it in the arc before the arc that's in the opening. So you already know what characters are coming in the next arc. And you might get spoiled about what happens too. And it's like, dude, come on. It sucks because a lot of their openings are actually really fucking cool, but such spoilers. Wait, and that makes perfect sense that One Piece would have the same issue with a lot of the, same people involved. What do you mean by what you said before? You'd like to know the Reaper's true identity. Does that mean I'm a crown prosecutor and a mortal like any other? I'm no demigod.
But they've all died, haven't they? The people you prosecuted, I mean.
Not Natsume.
Whether or not the trial ended in a conviction or an acquittal.
Those I prosecute are the vilest wretches of our society. People who without question deserve to be found guilty. The world is a better place without them. But that's not true of Mr. Natsume, for example. He wasn't a vile wretch at all. He's just kind of weird.
Nor was Ginny. In fact, she's ever so hardworking now.
She's out of prison already? I can't deny that since I encountered you, things have taken a turn. But the point is this. At least you can admit that. That's good. If any of those vile wretches that escaped justice subsequently died in mysterious circumstances, it was at the hand of their own kind. It's not my work. Lord Strongheart said the same. He believes you're not involved in any way.
You were attacked by those ruffians because they believe it's true.
Idiot's gonna idiot. What do you want from me? The fact is, since people started to call me the Reaper of the Bailey, the number of serious crimes in the capital has dropped substantially. Oh! It would appear that even the most hardened criminals can be made fearful for their lives by superstition and a badass nickname. Alright, later, Tom. Have fun. No, McGilded be like upside down smile. The other way smile. The gross smile. I'll watch the initial trailer, because the initial trailer doesn't have much, right? It's almost like a teaser. Like Breath of the Wild 2. A little teaser. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the next installment got announced of the remakes trilogy, which is going to be a trilogy. You know, it's going to be 3 parts. The trailer that they showed yesterday for it was a teaser. Not much to be gleaned from it. So I didn't feel like, oh man, I was spoiled. But the closer you get, the less I watch. There's the upside down smile. Yeah, I always thought part of I think that was actually more explicit in the most recent movie. That was always part of Batman's MO, is that he would hope that fear of him itself would help reduce the amount of crime. Because people didn't want a fucking dude coming out of nowhere beating the shit out of them for stealing some woman's purse. There is one spoiler that I saw and I did manage to forget it. There might be more recently, but I've already forgotten them. I've gotten okay at that too. And that was Han Solo's death in The Force Awakens. Spoiler if you haven't seen the 2016 movie. I had gotten spoiled about that months prior. By the time I watched the movie, I'd completely forgot. Even though then it was kind of telegraphed. Like, oh yeah, but I didn't even remember that it had been spoiled until after the movie was over. So it's something you can do if your brain, you know, wants it to go away enough. Oh, sorry, Han Solo gets killed. Yeah, I can't do any of that stuff with Ace Attorney. With Ace Attorney and Danganronpa, not so much Danganronpa anymore, obviously, but during the playthroughs, I had to have viewers like get thumbnails for me because people would be nervous that just searching images would spoil something. And it did. Like, take for example, if I got a PNG of Aoi to put in the bottom corner for the waifu, current waifu thing, I had somebody get that for me because had I not, and I go look at those image things later, I would have seen shit from her in the anime. So I'd have known she survived. Like, I don't want to know that shit, you know? I did, but that one didn't matter as much because I had no idea. I still have that first picture. I haven't looked at it since we started playing the game because somebody was like, a few people were like, I think you're using the wrong thumbnail. I'm like, okay, so I switched it. I didn't know who any of those people were still. Did they have their child forms on there? I don't even remember. That's not something that I made the connection to. But that's because I knew nothing about the series. So that was a little easier to ignore. But that stuff can happen. Very much so. Wow, good for them. Good for that person. Holy shit. I was able to do that with Avengers Endgame. Was not able to do that with Avengers Infinity War because Carmello thought people wouldn't understand what he was. Oh God, I was so pissed. He posted an old Windows 98 logo. I don't know if you guys know what the Windows 98 logo was, but it looks like the disintegrating, you know. And so, like, it wasn't obvious what happened at the end of that movie. I'm like, why would you fucking do that, dude? Why would you post that publicly on Facebook? Like, the weekend it was released. Like, not everybody can see that shit right away. Kind of just a shitty thing to do. Like, again, people think they're slick and they're smarter than other people. And, like, there's no way people could... You won't understand this unless you've seen it. No, that's not how that works. Sorry. People tend to be a little more intelligent than you give them credit for. Do you mean to say... Were you alive for thousands of years to avoid the spoilerage of Greek epics and mythology? I've managed to avoid hearing what happened to Odysseus for 2,000 years. I loved Homer's work, I just didn't have an opportunity to get to that one yet. And then somebody goes and fucking spoils the Odyssey on a random YouTube stream. How dare they? It can be fine if the parody's done well. I can forgive it at least. But a lot of times it's lazy and it's not even funny. And it's like you spoiled something and weren't even good about it. Like you had no business doing that. Well, that's interesting. I mean to say that if my pseudonym serves as a useful purpose, I adopt it gladly and with honor. I would too. I would too. I don't blame him. But it's putting you in danger. You could be killed. Well, if I were a little bitch, that'd be something I'd worry about. But whatever. If it's my fate, let God decide. Lord Van Zeeks. I mean, there's no denying that the dude's a badass. For sure. Still kind of a piece of shit, though.
The warden said cell 11. That's this one. Oh, there's someone curled up in a ball in the back corner. Look.
What's his name again? Professor Albert Hairbrain, wasn't it? Excuse me, Professor Hairbrain? Alright. I know this is gonna piss some people off because we got, like, nowhere today. This is some of the most, like, one of the more conversational streams we've ever had. But I'm gonna end it there, and I'm gonna use this time to try to think of... I think I have a voice for him. I think I have a voice for him. I think I know what I'm going to do, but I'll give it a little bit of thought. I have an idea. He's going to be... I'm choosing to go... Because if I were to go something where if you looked at this dude and you knew about him, signs his glasses, blah, 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 you think I give him, like, a paid voice, like this kind of, but maybe a little different so that there's a differentiation. But I'm actually going to go the opposite, because that's a little too expected, predictable. We're going to go a little different. Yeah. What voice will I use? You'll have to find out next Monday. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'll be back on Monday, and we'll get through more. We'll make that a more game-oriented stream. So sorry we didn't get through much, but I quite enjoyed the conversation today. I hope you guys did too. All right, everyone. Have a good weekend. I'll see you next week. Stream's adjourned.
Maybe
For
not.
2 nights, maybe.
Not
Yeah,
even
I
2
think you're
nights,
right.
just under 2 nights.
Shit.